All right, it's dance time, so let's dance.
The last romance, but I wouldn't give it a second chance. They say if you seek, you're sure to find, and I know how true that is. 'Cause the closer I get to you, baby, yeah, you're driving me clean out of my mind. I say, save me, somebody save me. Anybody save me, somebody save me. Those who love always give the most. We're crying together from coast to coast. 'Cause love makes me cold and hurt inside. These tears of violence are justified. I'm begging you to save me. Hey Lord, somebody save me.
Swing music, like most Black American music, is not just an art form to listen to, it's an art form to move to. And I think that swing music is designed to make you move, to get out there and move your body. And so I think that is cross-cultural. I think that when you listen to it, it's just right there in your body.
I started taking ballet when I was about 5 at a local rec center, and later when my family moved to Colorado, which is where I also went to college, I started studying ballet more seriously, and so I did ballet up until I was about 18. And then I kind of had the choice of whether to try and continue with that dance and know that I would probably never be more than a chorus member, or to go to college for something else, and I chose the latter. So I found swing dancing towards the end of my college career. And I actually came upon it because I went to see a friend of a friend in a dance competition that was all these intercollegiate swing dancers battling against one another. I watched the competition, and everyone had cute matching outfits and kind of music I wasn't really excited about. I wasn't impressed with it. And then this one song came on, and all these people from different groups suddenly jumped out of the audience. And I was like, am I living in a musical? Like, everyone came together in the middle of the room and started doing this dance that they all knew, but every single person was doing it differently and had so much expression and so much individuality and personality in it. I looked at it and I went, that's what I want to do. That's a thing that I didn't know was available. Like, I didn't know that there were dances where you could go and know a set of steps, but be able to really go beyond that in terms of your personal expression. I am a professional dancer, but I am also a professional software engineer. So I work during the day, but I have chosen to take a job that is extremely flexible, specifically so that I can have time to dance. So I started out dancing full-time and decided this was not something I wanted to do for a living. There are many ways that you can make a living swing dancing, but primarily it's through teaching or performing. And when you're teaching or performing, you're having to treat it as kind of a combination of, here is what I want to do with the dance and here's what you want me to do with the dance. And I didn't enjoy navigating that as much as I think some people do. And so for me, it was more important that I get to do the things that I want to do with the dance, and that meant setting it aside as a career and instead being able to do it professionally as a performer, as an instructor, but also to be able to say no to the gigs I don't want to take, and also be able to say, I want to spend that weekend at home with friends and not traveling. And so having both of those things in my life is very important, and I love my day job as a software engineer.
So there's a lot of different jazz dances. We've got partnered and solo Charleston. That was the most important original jazz dance. From there we have Lindy Hop, which is the kicking and turning and throwing your partner in the air. The acrobatics are a large part of Lindy Hop, especially for the performance. We don't really do acrobatics on the social dance floor. You want to make sure you have room so you don't hurt someone. But acrobatics are definitely a large part of that performative Lindy Hop. And then we have, on the West Coast, we have Balboa, and then we have Balboa swing. So Balboa is a chest-to-chest partnership dance. It was kind of a date dance, and so really it wasn't a whole lot about dancing. It was a lot about being able to have a conversation with another person, being able to dance all night long. And then we have bow swing. It's a very rotational dance. It has kicks and turns, and it combines together with that Balboa chest-to-chest dance. And finally, what's really popular these days is collegiate shag, which was another dance. And that was one of the swing dances that had a hopping basic, and so it's kind of a hopping style swing dance.
Gender has often played a role in partnership dancing in the swing community, but if you actually watch footage from the 20s, from the 30s, especially at some of the big outdoor festivals with swing dancing, you will very frequently see women dancing with women and men dancing with men. In the Warriors in particular, like, there weren't a lot of men around, so there were a lot of women who learned how to lead. In the modern scene, we have a lot of people who really enjoy switch dancing, so trading roles throughout the dance. And there are also plenty of people who prefer not to dance the role that's perhaps primarily associated with their gender as their primary dance role. There are definitely no barriers there to learning. And when it comes to teaching swing dancing, we as a community have been trying to be very thoughtful to use the words leader and follower, primary follower, rather than ladies and gentlemen.
Some of the swing dances, you get to really move across the floor. You get to use physics and your partner to just like swing around each other and move around. Those are my favorite swing dances. And so Lindy Hop and Balboa swing are those dances. And so I love doing individual jazz movement. I love doing lots of other dances in general, but when it gets down to it, what I love the most is just swinging around somebody else really fast to good swing music.
Swing. Do I, 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 do I. It don't mean a thing. All you gotta do is sing. Do I, 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 do I. It makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm everything you got. Oh, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do I, 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 do I. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do I?
So there are generations and generations of great Harlem Lindy Hoppers and Southern Californian dancers, but some names off the top of the bat. Frankie Manning, an incredible dancer from the original era. He taught a lot of us in the modern era. So from the 1980s, 90s, 2000s, he was passing the dance on to us, and he was teaching around the world. Norma Miller is also an incredible original dancer. She passed away just recently, a few years ago, and she herself traveled the world and taught the dance to the modern generation.
So far, I'd say the highlights of my career, well, one of them has got to be before she passed, rest her soul, I got to meet Miss Norma Miller, who is considered like the queen of swing dancing, you know. And she has this story about how she got into Lindy Hop, where technically she was too young to get into the spot, but a friend, a very prominent dancer, kind of took her in and said, you know, all right, you can come in. Hearing about her, you know, rise to prominence in the Lindy Hop world and where she was, getting to actually talk to her and hear her talk about it as opposed to, you know, reading it from a book. It was really amazing. You know, I met her back in 2015 at a dance camp called Beantown. And, you know, they always had Norma go there as a special guest every year until she had passed. And that was where I got to really meet her. And our relationship was, rather than, you know, apprentice and mentor, right? Where she's training me and she's watching me dance and give feedback. We were more of just friends, and that was the kind of relationship we had, you know, where I could just talk to her about different moments in her life, different pivotal moments, and you know, moments when she was on tour, you know, big moments in her Lindy career. She was very blunt, and she said whatever was on her mind. She would call out anything she saw that she thought, nope, that's not right. I always admired and respected that. Say what's on your mind, say what you mean, know your worth. I try to take that with me in my life, and so getting to know her as a friend was definitely a big highlight of mine.
In Southern California, you had dancers like Dean Collins and Jewel McGowan, who created a whole new Southern Californian style of Lindy Hop. And you have other dancers like Crystal Johnson, who was a Mamalu Parks dancer, who is still with us today, and she is continuing to teach dancers in the modern era. first got into swing dancing, I didn't know anyone in my family who had ever danced at all, period. And then I ended up showing my grandmother swing dancing. And she said, "Oh, I used to do that back in the day." And then she said, "I was one of the best jitterbuggers in Atlanta." I don't know if she was one of the best jitterbuggers in Atlanta, but it's not surprising at all. She was a real firecracker. So I've lived in several cities throughout the East Coast, and about 6 years ago, I met a girl, and she's amazing, and she lived in New York. And so I moved up to New York, and I've been here ever since.
Joy, it's taking the town. Oh, night after night, while the Yankees wonder what it's about. Oh, the jitterbuggers are beating it out and swinging on down. Oh, my, how that band can play. See those dancers sway to tom tom. With a new kind of joy, it's taking the town.
I knew pretty much a year or two after I started dancing that eventually my partner in life would have to be very involved in the swing dance community and would have to understand how much I love these dances so that they would understand when I needed to travel to an event or stay out really late. You know, we go dancing at least 4 or 5 nights a week, and it's really hard to have a partner who doesn't understand too and know how to relate to that. So I was very lucky to meet my husband at a dance event outside of Boston. We hit it off pretty much immediately, but didn't start dating right away because we lived in different cities. When we eventually did decide to try dating, it really clicked right away. Both of us are able to pursue our art with other partners as primary teaching partners and performing partners, and still have this thing that we can come together and do both in terms of practice and also as a romantic thing, as a fun thing that, like, we can go out to bars in New York City, and if a live band is playing, which they usually are, we can just get up and dance together and have a really fun time. There are people who choose to work with their romantic partners, but I think in order to do that, you have to be very, very good at compartmentalizing those two relationships, because it's like working with a business colleague. You need to be able to make demands on them, and you need to be able to give and receive critique very openly and without worry that's going to bleed over into your romantic life. My husband and I were both dancers long before we met and already had dance partners that we love working with.
I compete and perform a lot with Jessica. We click together, we social dance a lot, and we are like really tight with that. When it comes to what we wear when we dance, there are two kind of sides to this story. One, like, this dance was created in the 30s and 40s, and it was popular then, and there was a specific style of clothing that was then. I adore secondhand shops and clothing, vintage clothing, as you would say, and it's definitely an appeal, and it changes how you dance. Like, if you put a suit, you put a jacket on, and you have like you've moved differently. You're like, you feel differently, and it feels different when I'm wearing sweatpants and a hoodie. But I do both.
Outfits of the Lindy Hop era, you certainly see a lot of them today. You know, a lot of the clothing and styles from the jazz era. The other style, you know, you had a lot of vintage clothing, and you had a lot of clothing that gave a specific statement on, you know, what year it was, and a lot of things that were very prominent in specific time frames. You know, from the 40s to 50s, it was they wore their hair like this, or they wore bow ties like this. From the 50s to 60s, you know, we wore pants like this, or zoot suits, and we had a belt to go on this, you know, type of way. And so a lot of that will still come into play for some events, you know, here in New York and around the world.
It's interesting to consider the intersection of clothing and style and swing dancing. I think maybe even 10 years ago, there was a lot more overlap, closer to the kind of renewed interest that came around swing dancing in the 80s and 90s. A lot of the people that were coming to it through popular bands, through film depictions like Swing Kids that emphasized the recreation of an era, of a specific era in time, and a specific era in time that was not a great era for anybody but white men. So over time, thankfully, as a community, we've moved away from that. There will still always be people who see it in film, who see it on stage, on Broadway, places like that, and come to it because they think maybe there's like a vintage lifestyle that they want to get involved with. And that there is a portion of the community that are really into the clothes. But overall, there's a much greater emphasis in the modern era on the dance being separate from this kind of recreationist feel. If people see dancers all wearing vintage clothes and they themselves are not interested in that style, then they're going to look at it and think, oh, I don't think that's a space for me. Whereas if they see people dancing in their normal street clothes, then they might look at it and go, oh, I can go try that out.
Wham, rebop, boom, bam, I can sing and I can jam. Wham, rebop, boom, bam, I'm a killer deal like yes I am. Wham, rebop, boom, bam, when you learn it you'll be proud. Wham, rebop, boom, bam, join the crowd and swing out loud. Some folks say swing won't stay and it's dying out, but I can prove it's in the group and they don't know what they're talking about.
Because of COVID, funny enough, there was a lot of virtual events which allowed people from all over the world to participate, people who wouldn't be able to travel to events. And then you have kids in Mozambique and Uganda wearing no shoes and wearing like their daily clothes, throwing down and killing it, and just in their dancing and the movement. But you would have never seen them if they had to come to America to this Lindy Hop event in DC to do this kind of stuff. So vintage clothing definitely has a tie to the history of this dance, and there's a space to respect that, but everyone expresses themselves through their clothing, and sometimes it's tied to like restrictive money income things.
I think there is often a conflation of performance outfits with what we actually wear to social dance. And to clarify what I mean by social dancing, this is when we get together and improvise our dancing with other people who are friends and strangers. You may recognize some of the songs being played, but it's not choreography, it's no number of set steps. Social dancing is how Lindy Hop kind of came into being as a street dance. That being said, Lindy Hop also evolved as a performance art form right alongside its evolution as a social dance art form. And so from the earliest days, you had dancers wearing costumes, wearing shiny shirts, wearing short skirts to show their legs off. Like, these are all elements that have continued within the performance space. So as a professional dancer, when I get hired for a gig, they often come to me and say, we'd like you to wear this. We want you to look a certain way. We're trying to set up this kind of image. So that's one element of it. In a competition context, I may be trying to make my arms look very fluid, and so I'm gonna wear a blousey shirt that softens those lines. There's that element of it that is very controlled and very thought out. But that is separate from the way we choose to present ourselves more casually as social dancers.
The swing dance community is so important. I've met so many friends, and this dance wasn't just a dance that you just do with one other person. It's a dance that you're meant to share with your community. And so there's like the jam circle where people get out and dance in front of everyone else. There's the elders who come and watch you dance and tell you how to do it better. There's the young kids who come into the dance that, that so many of us now are having families, and so we're bringing our kids along to the dances. And that's the way it was in Harlem, and that's the way I hope it continues to be.
The social dance aspect of this dance is such a huge part, just getting to grab a friend or maybe someone you don't know and just, to a song, just dance. And, you don't have a really rigid structure. You can just make whatever you want to the song that you're dancing to, and it feels like you're making a community, with people that you know and people that you don't know, so you're able to create a new second family for yourself, right, with people you dance with, and you're able to also bond even more with people that you have already known.
Nothing to attack, boogie in the mellow track, boogie.
Lindy Hop is such a beautiful dance form that connects people. I met people who do Lindy Hop in Poland, back where I'm from, so I was able to connect with my community through that. Met people in Germany, in Korea. I've been to Ireland, Australia.
That's the mellow track boogie. Got it coming back, bim bam skim.
You can go to a different country, you can find somewhere to sleep. People are really welcoming. You would go somewhere and they're like, yeah, you can crash here. Yeah, I just met you 2 hours ago. Yeah, we can just like go to this place and come to this bar and like come dancing with all of us. It definitely has the aspect of community, and in that moment of dancing with someone you've never met before, you don't share the language, but you can still have a nice moment and you feel like you can connect with others. It's beautiful.
When I dance, I feel free, and I feel like I can understand who I really am, because I don't have to hold back or be shy or like apologize for my dancing. I just get to do it, and so I get to realize, who I want to be as a dancer and as a person.
In my experience, I have yet to see an occasion where young people saw swing dancing and didn't stop and come up and go, what is that? Like, I can't tell you how many times that's happened, that we've been practicing and somebody comes up, well, what is it? How do I learn it? Where did that come from? And so I think as long as the exposure is there, it'll continue to be something that draws in new, younger dancers.
It is a dance of joy, but there's a lot of self-expression that goes into that. So popular and so addictive to everyone else. Like, everyone wanted to do this, and we all can feel into that. I cannot connect with the struggles of people of color who have created this dance, but we all struggle with different things, and this is how you connect with the dance.
There's a real type of body awareness and understanding of your body, especially after, you know, you spend so much time sitting down all day.
I've got a girl that lives up on a hill. I've got a girl that lives up on a hill. She wants to quit me, but I love her still.
You get to really understand how you move and let the stress and tension in your body be free, you know? So I really get a sense of who I'm turning out to be when I dance Lindy Hop. If you go from, you know, a step that's really high to boom, go down low, do a step that's low, you know, you might find, oh, you know, that's the type of person I am. I like to dance at levels. You might find out you're very expressive, you know, so people can really find out who they are through this dance. And I think it's also a very great way to socialize with each other, you know.
All them boys and jump for joy. Hey man, I'm happy. I am happy as a baby boy. My mom's gonna buy me a high dramatic kitty car. Early in the morning, everybody's gonna shout. Baby, I'm going away and leave you by yourself.
I was competing one time and I was dancing with this follower and they were from, I believe, Korea, and we were dancing and we couldn't communicate because they didn't speak English, I didn't speak Korean, so like, or Polish, so like, we were just like, hey, we're gonna dance now, and we're competing and we've never danced together, this is the first time. And it's amazing that like through the language of the dance, you can like communicate with someone and relax and not feel stressed out. And after just 3 minutes of dancing, you have like a deep connection with them through the movements. And that's the beauty of it.
Dancing with your body is like a language. And so getting to perfect that language as you work with other people and dance with them is something that I think people really treasure and take to heart, you know, no matter where they are in the world.
We like to describe, a lot in the community, we like to describe swing dancing as a conversation. And so imagine getting into a really great conversation with someone you just met then you're gonna wanna be friends. And then you might wanna work together. Sometimes you just find someone and from the first few dances you have with them, they feel like home. They just, everything that you do and everything that they do clicks.
Swing dancing is one of the greatest joys in the world. It exercises your body, it exercises your expression, it allows you to meet other people and connect with them and learn so much about a community while you're listening to incredible music. So it's no surprising to me at all that Lindy Hop is so popular.
Heaven, I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find the happiness I seek when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Heaven, I'm in heaven, and the cares that hung around me through the week seem to vanish like a gambler's lucky streak when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I love to climb a mountain and to reach the highest peak, but it doesn't boot me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I love to go out fishing in a river or a creek, but I don't enjoy it half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Dance with me, I want my arm about you. That charm about you will carry me through to heaven. I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find that happiness I seek when we're out together swinging cheek to cheek. Come on and dance with me. I want my arm about you. That charm about you, it will carry me through right up to heaven. I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find that happiness I seek when we're out together dancing, out together dancing, out together dancing cheek to cheek. Heaven, I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find the happiness I seek when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Heaven, I'm in heaven, and the cares that hung around me through the week seem to vanish like a gambler's lucky streak